Hello, welcome to AARP New Jersey Fraud Friday Facebook Live. I'm Christine Bertino, an AARP New Jersey volunteer, and I'll be chatting today about some of the recent scams in New Jersey with our special guest, Karin Price Mueller, founder of NewJerseyMoneyHelp.com, a personal website offering advice on everything money. She also writes the Bamboozled Consumer Affairs column for the Star Ledger and NJ.com. If you have a question about fraud and scams, please type into the comments section and we will do our best to get to it live. We're looking forward to a great conversation. Thank you for joining us again, Karin.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, certainly. There is a new scam circulating online about a $3,700 mortgage relief stimulus payment for homeowners. What is this scam?
This one I just came across one day when I was online, and it popped up in one of those ad spaces. And I have a note here because I don't want to misread or missay what it is. You know, big bold letters coming, $3,708 home stimulus. Say, okay, I've been following the stimulus programs as we've gone. I know there is no home stimulus, but I was really curious to see what they were trying to sell here. So I actually clicked all the way through, which is something I generally don't do. And I recommend don't click on stuff that you don't think that you, do as I say, not as I do. But under the headline, it said, all homeowners born before 1990 get $3,708 benefit, but you must apply. So I'm like, all right, let's see where this goes. So they're saying that anyone with a mortgage can get this $3,708 each year or $309 a month in mortgage savings as soon as February. This was, back a little bit. Millions of Americans could benefit from this, but very few even know about it. And then it says, unfortunately, many people aren't going to do this, but if you've got good credit and a mortgage, you can get this savings. It's like, how am I going to get a stimulus plan because I have good credit? This doesn't sound right. And when you click through all the way, it is not any sort of free government program. It basically just brings you to a mortgage website where you would fill out your information, and they'll just give you a bunch of quotes to refinance your home. So could you save and, have monthly savings from a refinance? Absolutely. But they're drawing people in, and it's an ad. It's not any kind of real stimulus program. And the best part, I looked in to see who was actually posting these ads. There are 3 different companies, and they're all based in Iceland. So since when are people from Iceland hawking mortgages in New Jersey? Whether you can actually call it a scam, I don't know, but it's absolutely misleading. It's not what it promises to be.
Absolutely. What they say is, if it's too good to be true,
absolutely.
Probably not.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Something that's not new in the scam world is criminals using headlines like COVID-19 to scam consumers. Right now, there are scammers pretending to raise money for Ukraine. The big question when we see these fundraisers is, how do you know who you're donating? Is it a legitimate charity or not? And how do we know how our money is being used and if it is being used for the intended purpose? So can you help us on that, Karin?
Sure. Well, first thing, if you receive an email or see a message on social media, or even get a message from a friend, somebody that you know on Facebook, suggesting that you donate to a specific charity, stop. Maybe it's a legitimate charity, maybe it's a good charity, but you shouldn't just click through and start, giving out your credit card information to just anyone. Right. You want to make sure, it's awful what's going on over there. You want to make sure that your money is actually going to good use. So the first thing that you should do is, take a deep breath and don't rush, and then start to do a little bit of research on the charity. And, there are some charity related websites that actually rate charities based on the kind of work that they do, how much of their money actually goes to the people who need it, as opposed to just going into the pockets of their, staff. Some charities spend a tremendous amount of money on their staff. So when you're giving whatever it is you're giving, you don't want 60%, 70% of that just to go to run the charity. So we, highly recommend that before you give, you check out a charity, make sure that it's somebody that you can trust, and make sure that the money is really being put to good use and not just to pay salaries.
So organizations to check the charities like CharityWatch.org or
Yep,
Give.org, those are.
absolutely. And I did actually take a look on that site this morning, and they
Mhm.
do have a bunch of, I guess, articles and lists and analysis
Mhm.
based specifically on charities that are helping the people in Ukraine. So that's a terrific resource.
Great. What are your thoughts on GoFundMe things that's on the website?
GoFundMe is tough because
Mhm.
unless you are going to invest a lot of time
Right.
investigating who you're giving to, or whoever's running the
Mhm.
GoFundMe, it can be a little sketchy.
Mhm.
I would rather see people give their money to organizations that they know are legit. Now, if it's
Mhm.
somebody, that personally who's doing it, that's one thing.
Right.
But a lot of the GoFundMe, and you see actors putting up GoFundMe pages to collect. Now,
Right.
maybe those you could trust a little bit more than the average person, but you
Mhm.
just need to research it. I would always rather see it go to someone that is legit.
Wow. All very helpful information, Karin. I want to remind our viewers, if you have a question for our guest, please type it in the comment section. Karin, you recently spoke with a New Jersey man who lost $50,000 through a Facebook scam. Can you share some of that story with our viewers?
Sure. Now, I know when you hear that somebody lost $50,000, your gut might be, oh, how stupid. How could they fall for that? How could they
Mhm.
not see that something was a problem? But these crooks are so sophisticated, and they know how to
Right.
really tug on your heartstrings. And that's what they do. And that's sort of what happened to this guy here. It was really sort of a
Mhm.
mixture of that and a little bit of maybe hopeful greed. He received a friend request from a woman who said that
Right.
she actually worked with the army overseas, and
Right.
they developed a friendship. And it's actually very common, believe it or not, for scammers to impersonate military members because they think that's going to tug on the heartstrings a little bit, or, oh, they're in the
Yeah.
military, I can trust them. But what they'll do is take fake photographs, or real photographs, but not of, themselves or even of military members. They'll just pull them off of Facebook from someone's account and use them to create this identity. And
Mhm.
over the course of time, their friendship developed, and she said that she had, I think it was something like 11.3 million in gold bars and something else that she had to get out of Africa, and she needed somebody to send it to since she was overseas. So would he help? So the first ask was for him to wire $3,000 to help to process this, or
Mhm.
with the shipping. And as time went on, she kept asking for more money. Oh, we have to pay, taxes to get it out of the country. Oh, we have to pay something to
Right.
the IRS. Oh, we need to pay more for the shipping company or insurance for the shipping. And by the time he finally realized that he was being scammed, he had emptied a 401k,
Oh my
$50,000
gosh.
absolutely gone. And he reported it. But, it's very hard to try to ever track down this money. We did contact Facebook about it, and they looked at the account and determined that it violated their rules of service in some way, and they pulled it down. But it's just as easy for the scammer to, create another persona. I would guess that the scammer probably had several dozen that they're working at the same time.
What could he have done to not get all wrapped up into this? Talk to friends, be
Absolutely.
skeptical? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody ever asks you for money and you don't actually, really have a relationship with them, or know them personally, you should speak
Mhm.
to a friend or family member about it and say, hey,
Mhm.
this is what's happening. This is the person I've met. This is what they're requesting, and
Mhm.
see what they think, because they're not going to be as emotionally tied. But I also just want to mention that, another common scam is for somebody to impersonate your friend or family member, where it seems
Right.
like the request is actually coming from your friend or family member. So if you ever receive a request like that on social media, or even over text for money, in any kind of circumstance, we've all heard of the grandma scam, where somebody
Mhm.
might say, oh, your grandson needs this because he's either in the
Right.
hospital or getting out of jail. Don't call the parents.
Right.
Call the person, speak to them, make sure it's really them before you
Yes,
start sending out any money.
absolutely. Wow, what stories. And the ones that tug at the heartstrings. The emotions are the ones that are really hard.
Yeah, because once, and I guess we see this a lot with romance scams. This is
Mhm,
really how they work. A romance
mhm,
scam is when you meet somebody online, you don't see them in person. They're often either working for the military, working overseas, or there's some reason why they can't see you in person.
mhm.
But they develop this relationship, and then suddenly this person that you've started to care for has an emergency.
Right.
A financial emergency. Maybe they need the money to travel, or maybe they just need the money so that they can buy a plane ticket to finally see you. Or they
Mhm.
might have a sick mom. I have to pay hospital bills. Can you send me money?
Right.
And they'll just keep asking for more if you send it. And in those cases, again, you should really speak to friends and family so that they can
Right.
sort of have an outside view and hopefully help you realize if something is a scam.
It's really hard on the victims, and romance scams, from what I understand, has increased dramatically, like nearly 80% in the last year. So
Yeah,
it's
it's,
it's
especially if you think about, the pandemic, we've all been at home. A lot of people might
that's
be
right.
feeling lonely. It,
Mm-hmm.
the scammers will take any chance they can get. And
Right.
unfortunately, people do fall for the scams.
Wow. Well, Karen, thank you for this very informative conversation. We always learn so much from the information you share. Do you have closing thoughts for our viewers?
Yeah, I think what the most important thing is, if you ever fall for a scam or you think you might be in the middle of something, don't be
Mhm.
embarrassed. Don't hide your
Right.
face away. You need to talk about it. Whatever, when we do these, we often give out numbers of, how much money was lost in scams the year
Right.
before, and it keeps going up. But I think that the true numbers are actually much, much greater because once once you get involved in something like this, people often feel embarrassed. And the best thing they can do is
Mhm.
speak out about it, report it to AARP and
Right.
get involved in, fraud watch stuff and speak to somebody, that you
Mhm.
trust. And you may not be able to get your money back, but you certainly don't want to end up being deeper in a hole. Don't be embarrassed.
Exactly. Thank you again, Karen, for the time. And for our viewers, if you're concerned you've been scammed and you need to talk, you want to talk to someone, as Karen suggested, you can reach a trained volunteer at the AARP Fraud Watch Network helpline at 877-908-3360. Again, that's 877-908-3360. If you'd like more information and resources on fraud and scams from AARP New Jersey, please visit aarp.org/NJ Fights Fraud. Again, that's aarp.org/NJ Fights Fraud. If you're interested in learning more about free fun events, special offers, and the latest news from AARP, text the word yes to email. Yes, the number 2, email to 50757 to receive a one-time text message from AARP with a link to sign up for emails and learn about what AARP has to offer. Message and data rates may apply. We hope you learned something new today about how you can stay safe from frauds and scams, and hope you tune in to our Facebook Live next month. Thank you and have a great day.